Hey guys! I am coming live from the car pickup line. So I have exactly a half an hour. School lets out. My daughter will be climbing in at 4 o'clock. So I'm going to hop on it because this topic is something that I'm super passionate about. And I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to talk about books for like 20 minutes to a half an hour? And then you guys, I wrote like pages and pages of notes. So I am going to just hop right in. So first of all, we are talking all about books while everybody is hopping on. Everything we're going to talk about right now, all about books. So I hope some of y'all are avid readers and can share some stuff in the comments too, like your favorite books and what you're reading right now. So if you're reading something right now that you are loving, that is pouring into your heart, your soul, pouring into your business, pouring into your leadership abilities for your team, drop it in the comments because that's what we do. We share, right? So everybody can read. I'm going to swipe everybody away for a minute. So my name is April Nyman. I am a superstar director of the A-Team. I have been with Scentsy for 8.5 years. My team right now my group is around 2,000 consultants strong. We peaked this fall at about 2,300. So just to give you an idea of like what my business looks like. I live on a small farm in Ohio, Oxford, Ohio. I have 3 kids, a husband, 2 dogs, a horse, bees, chickens, snakes, turtles, fish, a rabbit, you name it, we have it. It's kind of like I bought a zoo. Like I live on a farm that's kind of like a zoo. So I love nature. I love conservation. I love authentic people. I love people who are not afraid to be themselves. I love people who are not afraid to go against the grain and do big, bold things. I'm going to start out, and I have notes, so I'm following these notes or I won't get through everything. I'm going to start out talking about a little bit about my story so you guys can kind of see what my journey was like, finding my love of books and how that has changed my life and how it's affected my business and affected my leadership. And then I am going to talk about why you should read, bust some excuses, and talk about how it has changed my life and business, and then follow up with a short book list and just some suggestions in different areas. So before Scentsy, I was in the Army, rode horses full-time for the U.S. Army in the last full-time mounted cavalry unit, 1st Cav. Got out, went to college, got my degree in equine business management. That's horses. So I studied horses for 4 years and have a degree in it. Got married, had kids, became a military spouse. So my husband joined the Navy and he was a submariner. So he would, we got stationed in Seattle. So we lived in Seattle for about 5 years. And I had 2 kids at the time and was a stay-at-home mom. And this is when I found Scentsy. But it was also at a time in my life where joining Scentsy coincided with a time in my life where I had lost myself. I was away from my family. I didn't have a lot of friends. I was pouring myself into my children. My husband was gone. I didn't want to build a business. I joined Scentsy. We didn't have a lot of money, but I joined it because I wanted to buy the amazing products and didn't have a lot of money. So I thought, oh, well, I'll earn some money back. Somehow I ended up at SFR, and this is definitely a plug to get to SFR, get to World Tour. Any event that Scentsy has, get there and get your team there, because this is when people have life-changing moments. This is when people have their huge, big aha moment. At these events, it happened to me. So I went to SFR in Vegas, the first time it was in Vegas, and Brene Brown was one of the presenters. You guys, this was the first time that personal development, positive psychology had ever been introduced to me. So it was through Scentsy. I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. I came home from SFR and I was motivated. My husband thought I had joined, like, drank the purple Kool-Aid, that I was crazy, that I was losing my mind. And kind of laughed at me and mocked it a little bit. I had always been an optimistic person by nature. And then life happened. The military happened. Being a stay-at-home mom happened. Stress happened. But being at SFR and listening to Brene Brown talk, it opened that door to personal development, and it sparked something inside of me, you guys. So I decided to pick up a book. I had never been a reader. I had just finished reading Harry Potter series, and that totally got me into reading. But listening to Brene Brown is what got me started reading about positive psychology, leadership, business, finances, how to manage your money, motivation, just personal development as a whole. So those are all like subcategories. At this point in my life, my mind was like completely blew my mind. I was addicted. I couldn't get enough. All I wanted to do was like go to bed so I could go read. I was just devouring through this, you guys. I felt like a new person. The motivation was through the roof. And what happened to me, I started pouring this into other people. I was radiating positivity. I was so excited. I wanted to scream from the rooftops about these amazing books and all this amazing things that I was learning about. So that other people could do it too. And what it did is it attracted people to me. It made me shiny to people. They were like, why is she so excited? Why is she so happy? It made me a stronger leader. And Kyle, like I said, he laughed at me. He didn't understand. And I say that to you guys because if you start to read about personal development and start making changes, and the people that are closest to you in your life don't understand, that's okay. Keep going. They will either... you'll either grow apart, and I don't mean from your husband, but you'll either grow apart from people, or they will hop on board and they'll start learning too and change and learn and grow with you. So first it blew my mind, all these books and all this stuff. It was addicting. I was addicted to it. But so excited, and I still get excited about it 8 years later because it's still changing my mind and it's still growing my brain, and it's allowing me to pour all these concepts and these things that I'm learning into my children and into my friends and into my family, and share ideas with other leaders. Books is where I get the information and the things that I share with all the people around me. So it totally changed my life. So now, because of Sensi, I get to influence others because I've grown this team. Now I get to influence others and help them change their lives in some way. So if you're at the point in your life where you need to make a change, if you have something that you need to overcome, if you're ready to elevate your life to the next level and elevate your business to the next level, then it is time to pick up a good book. And I don't mean a romance novel. I don't mean Harry Potter. Those all have their purposes, right? Those all have a place. But I'm talking about reading with intention. Reading books that are going to grow your perspective, grow your mind. Good advice. Do what successful people do. You will find time and time again, successful people in all facets, not just people who make a lot of money, but successful people in general, in any area, they read. Not only do they read, a lot of them write books. So guess what you get to do? You get to go read their books. You get to pick the brains of these amazing people who have accomplished all the things that we want to accomplish in our life, right? So, you will start to find when you're reading that about successful people or reading their books and what they've written, you'll start to find a lot of similarities, that successful people do a lot of the same things, that they read a lot of the same books. And they know how powerful the brain is, and that's why they know how important it is, or why it's so important to continue to read books and continue to learn. So I wrote down a list of some voracious readers, so people who read a lot. Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Oprah. If you want to be like Oprah, you want to have Oprah money, you want to be able to give like Oprah gives, do what Oprah does. She reads. I love this quote, and this kind of was like a great perspective for me, and it kind of like ties up everything together on why you should be reading. She was quoted at an award show saying, "Books gave her the power to see possibilities beyond what time allows." So you get to read someone's life's work. You get to, in a few hours, in a few hours you get to read what took somebody a lifetime to learn about. That's compound interest at its finest, you guys. That's like investing when you're young. Reading books, the more that you read, the more ideas that you fill your head, it's compound interest for your brain. Just like investing young is compound interest for your bank account. Okay? I had a quote here somewhere. I'll read that later. Okay. So if there's one takeaway that I want you to have from today, I want you to read for 15 minutes a day. No excuses, 15 minutes a day. It's a small daily action, and that's what compound interest is. You're making a positive deposit into your brain for 15 minutes a day. It's your daily dose of motivation. If you're not getting a daily dose of motivation, the negativity that surrounds you in everyday life, in the world, on the news, on the radio, just the stress of living daily life and being a human is hard. Raising kids is hard. Running a business is hard. That stuff, is heavy. And the world is full of negativity, and you need a daily dose of motivation. So allow that to be your 15 minutes a read. I don't care if you do it in the morning. I don't care if you do it at night. Books are food for your brain and for your soul. They're a workout for your brain, just like going to the gym is a workout for your body. And it's like so important. Like there's not even words that I can say to say how important and how life-changing it can be. I was sweeping my floor today. I have dogs, and you guys, if you're friends with me on Facebook, you've seen me post about it recently. And when I sweep my floor, I get I'm talking about like a huge amount of dog hair, dirt. We live on a farm. I have 3 kids. And I thought about this today, and I thought, you know what? This dirt and this dog hair is like the negativity that we're surrounded by. And every time I sweep my floor, if I didn't sweep my floor every day, so think about your house, right? Even if you don't have dogs and don't live on a farm, think about how dirty your floor gets every time you sweep, whether you sweep every day or every other day, every 3 days, whatever. Think about how dirty that gets. And what if you didn't sweep? What if you didn't sweep your house for a year? What would your floors look like? You guys, that's your brain. If you're not reading and getting motivated and getting influenced in a positive way regularly, then your brain and your mind, which will spill over into your life, is going to look like a dirty floor that hasn't been swept for however long that you haven't been putting good things into your brain. Okay? So just think about that. The next time you're vacuuming, the next time I sweep with a broom and then I sweep it up. And that's why I can look at it. So think about that. The next time that you empty out your vacuum bag and you see all that dirt, think, man, I need to be filling my head with good books. Let's see. So it's time, if you're not a reader, or maybe you used to read and haven't been because, life happens, now is the time to pick up a good book and feed your brain. It will directly affect you and your life and spill over into your business and to your team, and you will be a good influence to the people around you, your peers, your team, your children, your husband, your family. 15 minutes a day? If you can read more than that, then great. But 15 minutes, everybody can carve out 15 minutes a day. And I talk about that in a minute. 15 minutes a day, that's 91 hours in a year. 15 minutes. That's, depending on how long the book is and whether you're reading it or listening to it, that's like 10 to 20 books a year, you guys. 30 minutes a day, that's 182 hours. That's 20 to 40 books a year. If you can carve out an hour a day to read, maybe you commute in the car and you can listen for an hour a day. That's 365 hours. You guys, you would be reading like 40 to 80 books a year. Like, I'm jealous. I wish I could read that much. That's life-changing. But then what happens? Life happens, right? We make excuses. April, I don't have 15 minutes a day. Yes, you do. You have 15 minutes a day. We all have 15 minutes a day. Do you shower? If you shower, then you can listen to books while you shower. So as long as you're showering, so if I see you and you're clean and you tell me, April, I don't have time to read, I'm going to say, you're clean. You should have been listening to books while you're in the shower. So there's like literally no excuses. I don't want to hear any excuses. How long are you scrolling Facebook every day? How much time do you watch TV? I see y'all binging Netflix on Facebook. Instead of asking your Facebook friends what show you should be watching on Netflix, you should be asking Facebook, what's the best book that you've read in your whole life? And then go read some of those books that people that you admire and look up to and think highly of. Go read some of the books that they've suggested. It's too expensive. Go to the library. The library has all the books, okay? Share a Kindle account with somebody. You can have multiple people on accounts. My daughter is on my Kindle account, so she can read some of the books that I read. It's a tax write-off, you guys. It's a business expense. All these books, business expense. Podcasts are free. Okay, it's not necessarily a book, but it's the same people that are writing the books. That's what they're going to talk about in their podcast. I spent $100,000 in my education. Thanks to the military and thanks to scholarships, I have zero student debt. But I did get a $100,000 education. But then I spent $99 to start a business, and that's where 100% of my income comes from. I spent roughly $2,000 on books. I looked at my Audible. We have 58 titles on Audible. I have 44 books on my Kindle. It's 102 books. That's about, if you go $15 a book, that's about $1,500. I rounded up to $2,000 because of then I have like paper copies of a lot of books. So even if you add another $500 onto that, $2,500. You guys, I spent $100,000 on education that I don't use. I spent $2,500 on books that have changed my life, that have changed my business, that have changed the way that I think about things, that have allowed me to think outside the box and live differently than the way that society tells me to live. That have allowed me to be a free thinker and to learn from other masters, other successful people. $2,500. Okay, another excuse. You don't love to read? This was my husband. So my husband didn't love to read. He was laughing at me when I was reading and getting all excited. And I said, well, read the books, and he didn't love to read, so we found Audible. Audible is like the Roomba for sweeping. So here I'm sweeping the floor with my broom and my dustpan, and then enters in the Roomba. For you busy people who don't have time or can't sit still or just get a headache from reading, Audible. Audible.com. It reads the book out loud to you. So you can shower and listen while you're showering. You can drive and you can listen. You can fold laundry, do dishes, do all your chores, chase your kids, and have your book going in the background. So literally, no excuses. I don't care how much money you have, how much time you have, and if you don't like to read. There's ways to get the knowledge from these books. Let's see. So Kyle, when he started listening to these books, it changed his mindset too. So then it put us on the same page. So then it allowed us to elevate and grow together. And it has also directly impacted Kyle and his business. And it allowed him to work his way up in his job crazy fast, like unheard of fast, like the same way of promoting up your Scentsy business. So I need to hurry up. So I'm going to read quickly how it's changed my life and business, just some bullet points to drive home why reading is so important. So when it changes you, it changes your vibe. It changes the things that you think about. It changes the things that you talk about with people. When you talk to people, you want to talk about ideas that you're learning about instead of talking about things or talking about people, okay? I can instantly, when I talk to people about business or about Scentsy or about life, when they love to read and they're really into positive or personal, it's like you're part of this club and all of a sudden you get excited to talk to these people and share ideas with them because they love to read too. It allows you, books equal personal development. They go hand in hand, and it allows you to become the best version of yourself. Scentsy is a personal development company. I've said this a million times before, and I'll say it almost with every training that I ever give. Scentsy is a personal development company disguised as a fragrance company. So personal development, that's what makes you sticky. That's what makes Scentsy sticky. Sharing and pouring into each other and creating that community of positivity, that's what makes the Scentsy magic. That's what, that's Scentsy spirit, giving more than you take. That's why people want to stay in this business. It helps us developing ourselves personally and then pouring that into other people and teaching them how to do that same thing. That's what allows us to leave people better than what we found them. That's giving more than you take to your community. When you're reading, you find out these ideas, and just like I said, it was mind-blowing and changed my life, and I wanted to shout it from the rooftops. Guess what? When you build a team, you get to share that with them. That's what I do when I'm starting to learn things, when I'm reading books, I share it with my team. And that energy and that vibe attracts people to you. And that's like when they say your vibe attracts your tribe. When you're learning about good things and you're elevating your mind, it attracts those kind of people to you. It's compound interest for your brain. Word. It builds your leadership toolbox. Whether you have a team of 2,000 or a team of 1 and it's just you, every book you read is a tool in your leadership toolbox that gives you confidence to pour into other people. It gives you tools to pull from when people come to you and they say, well, I'm having problems with this in my business, or I'm having problems with this in my life. It gives you tools to use to help them in whatever situation they come to you with. People crave positivity. So as you're making these changes within yourself and pouring it into them, that's what attracts them to you, because the world is full of negativity. So when you're reading and filling your brain with positive things, and then you're radiating that out to other people, people are craving it. And that will keep drawing people to you. It gives you permission to be bold and to call people on their crap and to elevate people to the next level. Sometimes people don't want to hear it, but when you're learning about these things and you know, and your thoughts are so strong, it allows you to, what's the word I'm looking for? It allows you to hold people accountable. It puts you in a place that you feel okay telling people hard things that they might not want to hear, but it comes from a good place. That's what a good mentor does. That's what a good friend does. A good friend calls you on your crap. A good friend fills you full of positivity. A good friend is bold enough to tell you the hard things that sometimes you don't want to hear. And that's a hard place as a leader and as a mentor. But as long as you're reading good leadership books and filling your head full of that, it gives you what's the word I'm looking for? It gives you the go ahead to do those things for people. And it changes the people that you surround yourself with. When you start thinking about ideas and sharing that with people and getting excited and wanting to learn about positivity, all of a sudden you start realizing the negative people in your life start to show up, and you're like, ugh, like you don't want to be around that. Like you want to be around positive people who are learning and growing too. Okay, so I'm going to sum up real quick, then I'm going to talk about a few books and then introduce the next speaker. Just a few things that I wrote down. You don't have to be naturally talented in any area of our business to be successful, okay? They're all learned traits. They're all learned things that you can read about and practice and get better at, okay? You just have to be disciplined enough to want to learn it. You have to be ready to feed your brain. I wrote down a quote by Mark Cuban. He said, "Everything I read was public. Anyone could buy the same books and magazines. The same information was available to anyone who wanted it. Turns out most people didn't want it." That's one of the first things I ask people who I work with closely. Do you read? Because that's like homework, right? Like they need to be reading and growing. Whether you're a leader trying to figure out on your team who you should be spending your time with, or whether you're a new consultant and you're trying to show your leader or mentors that, hey, I'm hungry for this. You got to show up. Start reading. Start sharing those ideas back and forth with people. Start sharing those ideas with your team, even if it's just the team that you're a part of if you don't have your team yet, okay? That's showing up for you. It's showing up for your business. It's showing up for your team. Reading allows you to get inside the brains of champions. You are all destined to be champions if you're ready for it, if you're willing to work hard enough for it. This is a conversation I just had with my daughter. Okay, real quick, books. And I think I've uploaded my book list that we've kind of compiled. It's not my book list, but a book list. A lot of people have, thrown suggestions. I think I've uploaded it in the AHA page already, but if I haven't, I will. And if I already have, then I'm going to go back through it and categorize it and add some stuff to it. Books on motivation. Some of my favorites are Take the Stairs. It's a just punch in your gut, hard-hitting, motivation, no excuses book. So if you need some motivation, that's a great one. Atomic Habits, James Clear, spoke at Reunion. You Are a Badass, Jen Sincero. The Slight Edge is one of my favorite. It talks about those small daily actions and how it's like a difference of 1% of what sets apart successful, like highly successful people. Start with Why by Simon Sinek, and The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. We all love Mel Robbins. Same thing, like punch in your gut, motivation. So if you need motivation, those are great books there. And you guys throw out if you have book suggestions, throw them out in the comments. Like if there's something that you read that just was like a game changer for you, throw it out in the comments and I'll add it to the list if it's not already on the list that I have. Leadership books, Tribes by Seth Godin. I wrote down 21 Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell, but like John Maxwell, like he's written a million books and you can't go wrong with any of his. And one thing that I wrote about his books is when I first started reading about leadership, when I was a new team leader, that really stuck with me is he said, you have to believe when nobody else believes. You have to believe when nobody else believes. It's your job as a leader to hold the vision and trust the process. Okay? And that just stuck with me, and so I wanted to add that in there. Probably my number one favorite leadership book is How Winning Works by Robin Benacasa, and she spoke at Reunion. She's an adventure racer, and she talks about their team and the teamwork and the highs and the lows, and how you don't have to be great at everything to be a leader. That's not your job as a leader to be great at everything. It's your job to be vulnerable and humble enough to allow other people to shine and to share their strengths too. Okay. So that's a really, really great book. If you really want to dive into leadership and team building and teamwork, How Winning Works by Robin Benacasa. Money and Finances, Dave Ramsey. We all know he's the king of financial stuff. The Millionaire Next Door, that's probably my favorite one that I've read. It really talks about, how the millionaires usually aren't the people, they're truly wealthy people. The people who have really built true wealth aren't the people rolling around in crazy fancy cars and spending crazy amounts of money and waving it around. It's the millionaire, the person next door living in a regular house, driving a regular car. Direct sales book. If you want the meat and potatoes of direct sales, you don't want the warm, touchy-feely stuff, Mary Christensen, Sarah Robbins, any of their books are great. Last one, personal development. 3 of my favorites that are short reads. They're more like little short stories, but the perspective they give you is really great. Hi, babe. I'm going to finish up this training real quick, okay? Hi. So you got to sit real quiet. See, I told you I'm in the pickup line, so we're going to pull over here. And don't worry, I won't drive and do this. I'll put my seatbelt on. Is The Carpenter by John Gordon. The Go-Giver by Bob Berg. It's Not About You, which actually is now called The Go-Giver Leader, and that's also by Bob Berg. Those 3. I would start with those 3, honestly, if you're just now getting into personal development. That will just give you they're just such great stories that give a really great perspective and way to look at things. Lila, get that out of here. I'm being photobombed by a Smashmallow thing. Okay, quick. The Happiness Advantage. Happiness is a choice. Happiness Advantage by Sean Aker changed my life. The Happiness Project by Gretchen Wilson. That's a little bit more. So the Sean Aker version, or not version, but the Happiness Advantage by Sean Aker, I think that's how you say it. His is more of a scientific view, where Gretchen's is more of has a woman's spin on it. Mindset by Carol Dweck. Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. Stop it, Lila, please. Anything by Brene Brown. Personal development. If you need to work on yourself, read all of Brene Brown's books. Life-changing, amazing. And the last one is The Secret. I can tell you the secret. The secret is to believe things will happen. If you truly, truly believe it, that's where positive affirmations come into play. That's the secret. But read the book, and and believe the secret. So next up, Amy Darrington. She's Superstar Director of Team Fiercely Fabulous. You guys, she's my sponsor. She's my Scentsy mama. And a little FYI is I didn't know Amy when I joined her team, but Amy was posting goal-oriented things, motivational things, and so that attracted me to her. And so 8.5 years ago I joined Amy's team, and it's been life-changing for both of us. So I just wanted to tell you that, because you never know who you're going to attract onto your team when you're working on personal development and putting all that out there, because that's what happened. That's what Amy did, and that's what attracted me to her, and it's been amazing for both of us. She has been with Scentsy for 11 years here coming up in a few days. She has been an annual mentor award earner 3 times. She's been a top 100 earner. She's Skip Star Director. So myself and 2 other directors all promoted in the same evening, and she went from director to Superstar Director in one evening. And my favorite thing about her, and she didn't write this, is she's not afraid to speak her mind, and I love that about her. Amy's training topic is Renew Your Biz. So I'm going to hop off so she can hop on, and you guys can all show her some love. And thanks for hanging out with me today, you guys. Let me know what books y'all are reading. Bye.